All right, ahead of Alabama's biggest rivalry game this weekend, you know I'm lying. Let's see if Tennessee is any good at all.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, welcome back in Locked On Bama, AHSA's radio network. Luke Robinson, that's me. Bama Online's Jimmy Stein, that's him. This episode is brought to you by Gametime. We'll talk about Gametime here in just a little bit. And also want to welcome all you newbies and everydayers back to the channel. We appreciate you guys so much. Hope y'all like my shirt. I couldn't decide who I was going to vote for when the big election comes up, so I'm doing a write-in campaign. And I think this tandem would be better than either set that we got.
I kind of want Williams to be president and Milroe to be vice president. Do you have one of those shirts?
Yes. I can get one of those shirts.
Okay.
All right. So, Jimmy, we're going to do a little stock up, stock down first, okay? Because this is something you do every week, and you do a great job of it. I feel like that's really awful with me. I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe I just look the same terribleness I always look. Okay, but Jimmy, stock up, stock down. You do it every Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday. What you got for us this time?
Well, stock up was a little harder because I didn't think Alabama played particularly great, but it was an SEC win. There were some good things. I thought one good thing was Cole Adams, for instance. I go stock up, Cole Adams. Kobe Prentice and Kendrick Law were out. That's bad news. Those are two good players. I don't think it's a good idea for Alabama to go into a game with the idea that, hey, we can only go to Ryan here. We can only go to Jeremy. We don't trust the other guys. There needs to be other guys step up when Kobe and Kendrick were out. And I think that Cole Adams did fantastic. I think 2 catches for 57 yards. That's a whopping yard per reception number. And I think you would agree, Luke, it wasn't just the fact that they threw 2 balls to Cole and he caught him and did well. Cole looked like a guy that needs more targets. I mean, he really looked like a playmaker, and he was a big difference in the game. So definitely this week, stock up Cole Adams.
Yeah, I had it muted, but I got to it. All right, so I mean, it doesn't count if I don't really start a sentence, right? Y'all can't.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Okay, whatever. Yeah, I think Cole Adams is a good choice. I feel like he'd be a better choice if Kendrick Law, Kobe Prentice are out there and doing more. You know what I mean? I feel like
that he just kind of stepped into a void as opposed to as opposed to making his own noise.
Yeah,
I think that's probably true. I think that is a good observation. It's not like, I mean, he was the next guy up. But what I'm really talking about is how good he was on those 2 balls. He made something happen. I mean, he caught the ball and then immediately set about doing some yak things, you know? I mean,
he kept his balance really well.
He did. That was a remarkable play. And I think even on the first play, when Jalen did, by the way, it was a great throw by Jalen Milroe, rolling right. Cole was open, but Jalen sort of threw him even more open, throwing the ball out in front where Cole had a great opportunity to catch the ball and make a play because Jalen's ball placement was just outstanding there. But yeah, Cole definitely stock up. There were other guys too, but offensively, I found it hard to kind of settle on them. I almost went in a couple different directions, but here's a stock up guy on defense, Jordan Renaud. It's part of the first time we've seen Jordan Renaud play significant snaps. Part of it was because he earned it. And part of it is because Alabama had a very bandit-heavy game plan that you've heard about here on the show. No one seems to be talking about it anywhere else. They just want to complain about the defense. I want to talk about adjustments and things the defense is doing to actually address things. And one of the things they did to address things is they went with this multi-bandit approach, which was not brand new. They had done it before in previous games, but they had never done it like this. They went heavy dosage, 2 bandits. And by playing 2 bandits, almost all snaps, you needed a third guy. You can't just run Overton and Latham out there on every single snap. So Jordan Renaud was the next guy up. I thought he was great. Couple tackles, half a sack, half a tackle for loss. He was disruptive. And if you sat there and watched him, he had a lot of wins in his one-on-one matchup with the offensive line beyond just what the stats were But Jordan Renaud is definitely a stock up guy for me this week.
All right. I mean, because you got to. I mean, is there a stock down? I mean, they're clearly are stock down people because it wasn't a great performance, right?
Yep.
But I always say just tread lightly.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to. I hate calling guys out. I mean, everybody that listens to the show knows that. I mean, I hate calling guys out. And the only time I'm ever going to do it is really for conduct or a dumb thing or playing hard and failing. I never feel comfortable calling kids out for that. But there were a couple things here. How about stock down Alabama's productivity at running back? I'm not saying stock down Jam Miller, stock down Justice Haynes. What I'm saying is Alabama's got to get more production out of the running back spot. They had 20 carries for 68 yards. We've been clamoring for more carries, more carries. Here's 20 carries between the two of them. Probably still not enough. I'd like to see more. DeBoer said he would like to see more, but 68 yards on 20 carries just isn't cutting it. And I know some people are going to say, well, it's the offensive line. Some people are going to say, well, it's the play calls. I think it's all of those things, but it's also on the players. It's on Justice and Jam to make something happen. We just talked about Cole Adams. He made something happen. He got the ball in his hands. Boom. He's doing special things. We need some more special play out of Jam and Justice, and it's really shedding some light on some posts a year ago where fans were 100% convinced that Nick Saban, old dumb Nick, was playing the wrong backs.
Yeah.
I mean,
matters.
Experience matters.
Well, and old dumb Luke and Jimmy have been saying we think these two backs will be better. And clearly, correct. I mean, again, no offense, but they haven't. I mean, they just haven't been. Jace and Roydell, while neither one of them was super explosive last year, they were just better.
They were better. They were better at making a positive impact on the game. And they're also better at picking up blocks. I think Jam and Justice continue to – they're not terrible. They're better than they were, but they still struggle a little bit picking up those extra blitzers. That's typical of all young backs, really. But they've just got to get better. But what stock down to me was, Luke, was just Alabama needs more productivity out of the running back position.
I think that's – look, I don't think that's going overboard. I think that's very fair. And, I mean, at some point, I don't know when he's going to be completely healthy enough to do it. I wonder if you don't try Richard Young out and just see what happens.
I love the suggestion. I know it's at Tennessee. You don't want to go with an inexperienced player who could fumble. I mean, the ultimate cardinal sin of a running back, giving up the ball. But I'm actually not against that idea at all, nor am I giving up on Jam and Justice. I just want more productivity out of that spot. A couple other stock downs. I saw a list earlier, and I was planning to do a stock down on this anyway, but then I saw the list, and I'm not going to hash it out, but Alabama's kick return game has been a cavalcade of errors. Emmanuel Henderson fumbles a ball this week. Kendrick Law had fumbled a ball and lost a possession before. Ryan Williams and Cole Adams basically bumped into each other like it was a Three Stooges movie, dropping a ball. They rarely get the ball out to the 25-yard line. Or how about this? Even on a touchback, they get a penalty, and the ball starts back at the 12-yard line, which leads to a safety. Alabama's kick return game has been an abject disaster. And I don't even think it's new. I even think going back to last year, it still wasn't good. But it's worse now. There's just too many flat out errors. I'm not complaining that they don't bust one to the house. I mean, I could care less about it. I'm complaining that they're making errors that are contributing to the losses. That's got to be cleaned up. Not all areas of special teams are terrible by any means, but that one is. The kick returns are just a real sore spot for Alabama.
Yeah, in fact, I know we got a tweet. I'm looking for it that sort of told the picture of that. And I'm trying to find it really quickly.
Yeah, I probably more or less
I do have
whistled through it.
I have it right here. Some numbers on Alabama's kickoff returns this year. There have been 27 kickoff returns, 17 touchbacks. So only 10 returns, right? 2 penalties, 1 on a touchback, which was last week.
How do you do that?
How do you even do that? You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of when I think it was Christian who was it that number 22 in your program, number 1 in your heart.
Christian Jones.
Christian Jones, who caught a ball against Ohio State, like the opening kickoff, he caught it and just put it down and never kneeled. And somebody, luckily for Alabama, recovered it because it would have been a touchdown if Ohio State had fallen on it.
No, that's going back in the way back, but
Yeah.
that's just a good
That
example
was the first ever playoff game.
And I don't think Alabama's kick return problems are brand new, but it does seem to be getting worse. I mean, this is just, again, a cavalcade of errors. So stock down Alabama kick return unit execution. It's not just on the returners. And again, I'm not killing Jay Nunez here, who's in charge of this, because I think other areas of special teams have been good. And it's very difficult when you're evaluating special teams, Luke. It's just very difficult to be really good and sound at all of it. And I think that's a big ask to be great. And, we want to punt it and cover the punts, and we want to kick it and cover the kicks.
Yeah.
We want to return the kicks and return the punts and be great at field goals. I mean, almost no one can check all those boxes, but woof, that kick return stuff is a mess.
Let me read the rest of them. So 2 penalties, 1 on a touchback, 3 fumbles, muff kicks, 1 onside failed recovery, 5 returned for 20 yards or less. There's been exactly 1 kickoff that resulted in an outcome better than a kneel. And the best return on a kickoff we've gotten this year was by Kendrick Law the second half of the South Florida game, and he fumbled it. So
I remember. Yep, there you go.
I mean, I'm just saying, look, maybe we just need to just take touchbacks. And
just take touchbacks, yeah.
Don't get a personal foul penalty on said touchback.
It would be literally a better result is not trying.
I mean, it
literally a better result's not trying.
It's like having to get a personal foul on a touchback, you almost have to decide I'm getting a personal foul right here. It's like somebody having to tell you, don't forget your pants when you go to school today. Don't forget wearing pants is something they require. But
I did that at a restaurant in Florida, I believe in Disney World. Now, that's true. Now that you mention it, I did forget my pants. I forgot my pants.
I'd seen you at the post office.
I did forget my pants. Now, I was 3, almost 4. I mean, I was. So, I mean, I guess that's an excuse. But I did literally forget my pants.
I would lead off with I was 3, almost 4 thing.
So lead with that?
Yeah,
that's good advice. You're the storyteller. So if you say so.
All right. Got to tell y'all about Game Time. We love Game Time over here at Locked On Bama. It's the absolute best. Use it all the time. I might use it tonight because for those who don't know, I am in Salt Lake City, Utah, the party capital of the world. And so I might be going to the Utah Jazz game tonight. It's a preseason game. And if I do, I'm going to use Game Time because it's going to be so easy for me to use it because I love it so much. And it's the best. And I'm going to get to see where I'm going to sit. And I'm going to get the best price guarantee. I'm going to get all this stuff. And if it were my first time using it and it's not because I love it so much, then I would use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off my first purchase. Terms do apply, but you will love Game Time too if you go try it out. Go get you some Game Time right now on your iPhone dial-in machine or any place you get apps, which are the things you use on your phone.
Okay. I got apps on my TV.
I got some.
Hipping with it technology-wise now.
Yeah, you're just getting it together, bro. So, first of all, shout out to Amari Cooper escaping the clutches of Cleveland and being traded to Buffalo.
I've got something negative to say here.
Okay,
don't go negative. I'm just asking you this. This is just, and I'm not starting rumors here. I'm just asking. I have, and whether I'm not talking about Alabama players. I'm talking about all players, and I'm talking about football or baseball or basketball, football, baseball, or basketball. When I hear of a pro football player that has been traded at least twice, usually more, I have a knee-jerk reaction that he's a locker room issue. I mean, am I wrong to leap to that conclusion that trades in football do happen, but they're not all the time, and sometimes it's money. But I just have a knee-jerk reaction, and tell me I'm just wrong. But I'm like, why do all these teams? Why do more than one team go? Let's trade him?
I'll say this: when you start your career with the Raiders, it's a bad start because the Raiders are going to give you, you're going to have a bad attitude whether you came in with one or not by the time you're done with them.
I mean, Raiders, Cowboys, Browns. Now he's on his fourth team.
Now he's finally on one. He's been on probably three of the great fan bases, I think, for the most part, but most
difficult,
poorly run organizations over the last 20 years.
I'll give you a good example. Stephon Diggs, great player. Why does he keep getting traded?
Well, I don't know.
Josh Allen's taking shots at him in the media, subtle but clearly shots at Stephon Diggs. I mean, I don't. I'm not saying Amari's a problem in the locker room. How would I know? I don't know. I'm just don't rule it out just because he's an Alabama guy. But I just don't like the multiple trade guys. It's like, what's up there?
I would say that I have heard, just reading NFL stuff, that there have been some issues with Amari at a couple of places, but I don't know. It's just like rumor mill stuff. So I don't know. I don't know anything specific. And I choose not to even know anything about it. Just like I choose not to know some more about some recent basketball stuff from a few years ago. Like somebody was going to tell me some more. There's more to the story of this or that, and I was like, I don't even want to know because I just enjoy. Let me just enjoy this. I don't always have to know how the sausage is made. So anyway, Jimmy,
I used to. That's the irony. Well, that's a whole nother subject. I used to want to know everything about the sausages made. Now that I'm closer to it, and I am aware of a lot of sausage stuff.
Yeah,
I'm uninterested. Sort of like you. It's not that I don't want to know it. It's just I'm uninterested. Like, I don't need to know everything. I really don't. Now, I used to be like that. I used to want to know, a player's sick. What does he got? Does he have a cold? Does he have a strep throat? Does he have the flu? Now it's like, I don't need to know everything. Just,
it'd be like if somebody comes up to me now and I'm wearing this shirt and I'm like, Miro Williams, 24. Instead of going, hey, that's cool, you're a big Bama fan, they go, well, Jalen Milroe's for open borders and Ryan Williams is for murdering. I'm not going to even go to that, but I'm just saying, I like, don't tell me that. I don't care what their political stance is. I just want to enjoy their talents. Let me just do that with a shirt. So people quit ruining my day. Anyway,
we got you fired up over nothing.
But something that does get me fired up is the third Saturday in October. And I don't even know if it is the third Saturday in October.
It is the third Saturday in October, which I think is fantastic. And I think every year that it's not played on the third Saturday in October, something's wrong with the world.
Is Tennessee good, Jimmy? Because I'm going to tell you something. First of all, before you go into it, I got a call from our boys over at Locked On Balls. They want to do a crossover tomorrow night. Hopefully I can. If I do, we'll try and set it up where we get me and you on there. But we're going to ask him the question, are y'all any good? Because we want to know before we get over there.
Well, they're going to come back at us with, are y'all any good? And I think we're all going to be stupefied. And I think we're all going to stare at each other slack-jawed and not have any answers. I mean, we're all just going to stare at each other going, I don't know. I mean,
Is Luke in charge of this podcast?
Yeah, we're all muted. Everybody's like, we'll be like, are y'all good? I don't really know. I mean, are y'all good? And we're like, I'm not sure.
But are they good?
Well, they okay. To me, it starts with dudes, and they have dudes. Now, they don't have dudes like Georgia does, or like Texas does, or even like Oregon does. I think they're kind of in that second or third tier of teams with dudes. They do have enough to where the talent's for real. They you could show up in Knoxville and get out talented. That can happen. They're good. Nico in particular, what a talented kid. But I think he's emblematic of the team's problems. Nico's talented. He could go off on anybody. He can beat anyone. But he's a redshirt freshman. He's inexperienced. He's still learning as he goes. Jalen Milroe was a redshirt freshman back in 2022 to show you how young Nico Iamaleava is. So I think he's a good example of, dangerous, still more of a learning to run situation than an Usain Bolt. Now, here's what scares you. It's there. They run the ball well and play defense. I'm a huge fan of that formula. Me and Gene Stallings, we still believe football games can be won that way. Run the ball, play defense. They do that. They're a little scary because, in addition, they throw in the outside playmakers, Brew McCoy, Squirrel, Nico throwing in the ball. They throw it to their tight end. And defensively, this is the best top two defense in the league right now. I mean, in terms of games so far, Tennessee and Texas are the top two defenses in this league. So I think they are good. But when they've played SEC football games 3 in a row now, they've looked a lot more mortal. So I don't think this is Georgia. I don't think it's Texas. I think they're in that next tier of teams that if we were playing them in Tuscaloosa, I would feel pretty good about this game, actually. I'd be going, I think Alabama's just better and we're going to win at home. But playing on the road is a big neutralizer. It is an advantage for them. And I've yet to really pick the game. I think this game could go either way up in Knoxville. I really do.
Oh, I know. I
was wondering if you were giving a political speech for Jalen Milroe, kind of like how these celebrities go give speeches for the candidates. I thought you were like, I'm voting for Milroe, and this is why.
Don't worry about his open border stance.
Full
He can
field
pass the
reads.
football.
He's doing so many things better. I mean, I think even though he didn't play great against South Carolina, why he didn't play great against South Carolina? Because our expectations for Jalen are up. See, even Jalen's critics, and we're not those people that we're getting accused of that. That's not true. Even Jalen's critics unknowingly have raised the bar for him. They're having to move the goalposts to criticize when it comes to him. I saw one guy like, well, he did, there goes the streak of throwing for 2 touchdowns and rushing for 2 touchdowns and that sort of stuff. I'm like, doing stuff and setting school records no more is now a shot at Jalen. He's really improved. I just think that the problem really we're having is the games are close and we're just having to run him too much. And I worry we're getting him a little beat up.
Yeah. Boy, that's the subject for another day. I feel like Jalen running the ball behind a pulling guard or tackle or both or whatever is like we're not
bread
getting anything. Let's try this.
The bread and butter.
Like our bread and butter should be, hey, why don't we just do the same thing, but with Jam Miller?
I couldn't agree more. And it's not like, I think sometimes we've run the ball, we've had success. I don't think we've maintained it. And there's been too many runs where we didn't make enough positive yardage. But I still think we're a little bit better on the ground than we get credit for, or maybe even better on the ground than our own staff gives us credit for. I'm ready to just kind of rely on them. I want to save Jalen best we can, but I fully realize you made a great point. When the game's on the line, you go with your fastball. What works best? And that's what we trust. And there was a discussion earlier today on the BOL board about defense versus offense, because some people insist, really a lot of our problems are really the offense. Hey, it comes down to this for me. If we have possession of the ball and we need to score to win the game, I feel we're going to do it. And if it comes down to making a defensive stop to win the game, I've got no confidence. That to me tells me far and away which unit I believe in more.
Uh-oh. I missed my spot. Here we go. I was going to try and you need to give me better inkling of when you're going to quit. Yeah.
How about if I sing the final word of the sentence that's going to end my rant or my take?
That would actually be better than what we've been doing. But hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats. You can view live play-by-play. You can do so much more on the same page where you place your bets. It's all right there together, helping you out. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets. That's guaranteed. That's a Luke Robinson guarantee when you place your first $5 bet. That's only at FanDuel.com, which, of course, is America's #1 sportsbook. I don't know if I said
everybody in the world, FanDuel, I was thinking FanDuel, everybody in the world is going to bet Arkansas beats LSU this weekend. And when everyone is on board, you go the other way, right?
Well, let me tell you 2 other lines, and I didn't want to go down this path. 2 other lines that have moved. I think the Auburn-Missouri line started at 6.5 or 7. It's down to 4.5. The Alabama line was 1, and Alabama's up to 3. And so that's kind of weird.
I'm surprised early money's on Alabama, and I'm really surprised early money's on Auburn. I like Missouri to beat Auburn. I mean, I agree it could be tight and kind of a fun game, but I like Missouri by 10, I think.
Let's get to that later this week. I do. First of all, I did want to say, you were talking about people talking about you, and there was a thread on Bama Online talking about us, and somebody said, I don't know who. Essentially, I'm said, I don't know who that Luke Johnson thinks he is. I'm like, me neither. What a jerk that guy must be, says Luke Robinson.
Let's send him to the Locked On Vols crossover.
Yeah, you might have more to add. All right, so D-line recruiting, we got a big pickup yesterday in Cavante Henry, who is a beast. I like him a lot. And then there was a big 26 recruit that was on campus for the South Kakalaki game from Mississippi. And so Alabama's D-line, people have been wondering, hey, when's the D-line recruiting going to pick up? I think it's picking up pretty nicely right now.
I think with these guys, again, if you're into recruiting and you care nothing about how many stars a guy's got, this defensive line group is not for you. But I like all three of these guys. I mean, and I'm just, and trust me when I say, I know some people think I say about all the guys that's not really true. Some maybe with some y'all got to read between the lines a little bit because I'm not going to criticize kids on the show, but or for talent type issues. But I like Cavante Henry. Again, this is a kid that's been committed to Michigan. He's been committed to Oklahoma. Now he's committed to Alabama. 3 of the top 10 programs in America wanted this guy at some point. Then you watch the tape. Bomawa, the Canadian that's the freshman defensive lineman now at Mississippi Junior College, he's having a monster season there. He looks fantastic. And again, London Simmons, I'm a big fan of. He's not going to get a lot of stars because he's a 1A Mississippi private school guy, but I trust it because he went to camp and he was at Alabama's camp. And as soon as they worked with him in camp, they're like, okay, you're a dude. Now he might take a hot minute. I think the JUCO guys are going to be more impactful. I think London's probably going to take a hot minute because, boy, the step up in competition for him is going to be a new world. Those guys often redshirt, and it takes a while. And that's fine. But Bomawa and Cavante Henry, I think they're guys that will be on the field next fall. I mean, I think they will help the team immediately. Man, and you probably said something. You probably said something really nice.
It was
too.
really poignant.
Yeah, it's probably like the one time you disagree with my take on a player. You're like, you're wrong about now we'll never know.
And I forgot it already. But no, I was going to say we want to give the shout out to the basketball team again. They're ranked number 2 in the country to start the season. That's a big deal. I know we said it yesterday. It bears repeating. And then, of course, the SEC Media Days going on. That's great. And Mark Sears, preseason SEC Player of the Year, of course. And CBS has him as the preseason National Player of the Year. And then one other thing came out about basketball. This is NBA related, but they have ESPN has come out with their numbers 50 through 100 top basketball players, and they'll do 1 through 49 a little later. But they have Herb Jones at 97, which, by the way, I think is a little low.
It's pretty awesome to be like the 97th best player in the world.
It is. And then they have Brandon Miller at 68, which
Yikes.
I think that is great. But I think next year, I'm going to be higher. He's top 30. He's top 30.
Yeah. All I like about Brandon's spot is, I think that's a little low, but I bet he's ascending. I mean, he's an ascending player. Herb may be ascending too, because I think Herb's a guy that scouts and NBA freaks love because they know all the little stuff, whereas a lot of fans are just going to look at, well, how many points does he score and just totally evaluate a player off how many points he scores. That's not how you evaluate Herb Jones' impact on a team and on a game. But man, that's really cool. And we'll see. There's some NBA prospects on this Alabama team, and I appreciate that they're number 2. The cool thing about that is with this schedule, they're going to have the opportunity to earn the number 1 ranking. Kansas, it was just bestowed upon them. Alabama can earn that number 1 ranking when the games start.
Yeah, I kind of dig that. I kind of dig like using, you're not going to have us number 1? Well, we'll play with a chip on our shoulder at number 2.
Yeah, Latrell Wrightsell said today that in Birmingham, we're playing with a chip on our shoulder. I'm like, you're ranked number 2.
Yeah.
No, but he's saying defensively, he said teams don't think we play good defense, and that's why we have a chip on our shoulder. And I think that's great. And I think, Nate, this is how you do it, because Nate needs my advice because, he doesn't know what he's doing, obviously. But my advice is in terms of like doling out these minutes, those blue collar points and the defensive. I'm sure he keeps defensive analytics and say, you want to play more minutes? You rank in the top 5 on the defensive analytics. That's who's playing. Because you can't go wrong. It's not like there's a guy on this team that you put in the game and you go, why'd you put him in?
Yeah.
I mean, they're all good.
All right, that's going to do it for today's pod. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll Tide.